So working on the deep mulching or the deep bedding method in the coop here. You can see that the old bedding is pretty well broken down, filled with all kinds of manure. It's a dark brown. And so what I did is I started off by leveling everything out as flat as I could. It's a little higher on that back side than over here where the nesting boxes are and their feed. I just have it hooked up right now, but otherwise that stays about here. So I like to have this side lower just because their roosts are all on that side of the coop. We have the roosters making a little bit of noise. But so this side is always a little fuller or higher rather than this side because of all the manure from the evenings accumulates obviously a lot more here. But overall you can see how flat I've gotten it, pretty close to flat. And then I just put some old hay down, which actually doesn't look too bad. But that just helps a little bit with speeding up the decomposition process, the composting process. It'll heat things up a little quicker. And then what I'll do here is put all new wood chips on top of this, or the wood shavings rather. And I'll probably do quite a bit. This area here is about 8 by maybe 12. And I'll probably do 4 to 6 those compressed blocks that they have of the wood shavings. And then you can see this is the greenhouse portion. So while I'm doing this, they have a place to go. Obviously, that's ideal. You can do it with them in here, but they tend to get kind of spooked when you start bringing plastic bags in and stuff like that. You can see it's almost 40 degrees in here, about 38, 39 degrees in here right now. And it's probably about 8 degrees outside. So the coop does stay fairly warm. If we were to go in the greenhouse portion, it would probably be 10 to 12 degrees warmer out there than in here. So you're looking closer to 50 degrees out there. So I just wanted to give you a visual before I put everything in here and how easy this is. And the beauty of this method is all of this stuff that's going to be underneath the clean, fresh shavings will be breaking down further. And it's close to January now. It's almost Christmas. And when spring comes around, I will clean this whole coop out and make a couple of piles out in the gardens, which are right on the other side of those windows. I don't know if you can see, there are the grapevines from last year right there. But so I'll stack them out there, and we'll have 2 months for them to cure, and I'll probably turn them once or twice out there before I actually put them on the grow beds, the compost that is, and which is kind of perfect timing here in the north. It works out well because we don't get seedlings in the ground until about Mother's Day or after, because it's just so cold. So as you can see, I'm not really particular in regards to what kind of shavings that we get, just as long as that they've been neutralized and they are, basically sanitized so that there's no impurities in the bedding, as we will be using this for our compost. But really doesn't matter the brand. And, though it's not free, and you do pay a little bit for them, and it seems like everything's going up in price lately. I think it's worth it in regards to keeping the coops clean, keeping our eggs clean, keeping the birds healthy, and then on top of it, we get a good medium, a good organic medium for our compost. So I think it balances out really. In the end, I did get some wood chips in the past, and I have used wood chips in the past in the coops, and they're just not as absorbent. And I pay for those as well because we're up north, and it's not like if you're in an inner city where you can people are looking to get rid of wood chips. Up here, people are selling them, and there's a lot of uses for them up here. So we end up paying for those anyways. And what I end up doing is just use those on top of the compost rather than using them as a compost. It just seems to work better inside the coops as far as keeping the moisture down and keeping it clean. So I'm going to load these up in my little trusty sled that I made here. We use it for firewood and for bringing loads down to the coops in the wintertime. And I will show you what it looks like once I've spread all this out. So you can see I did about 5. I think I might do a 6th one in that corner just to give it that height we're looking for. The stuff on the bottom, the older shavings, are probably about 4, maybe a half a foot, probably 6 inches deep right now. And so this looks like we're going to add another maybe 6 inches as well. And I am going to throw one more in that corner. So 6. So we went with, I'll probably let this just be for a week, maybe a little longer. And then what I'll do is I'll start throwing grain on the floor here along with our feed. And what that'll do is the chickens will start scratching this all up and turning it. But I doubt that they'll get down to the old stuff. And they'll just kind of turn this top layer. And I'd probably do that one more time this season. This exact same thing. So after I start throwing grains in here, they start scratching and doing all that kind of stuff. Turning it themselves. Once it starts getting used up, not quite that brown, but starts getting darker, what I'll do is I'll pitchfork it all into a big pile right in the center and just kind of have a big heap here. And again, I'll scatter grains in here. If you do that, I would recommend doing it in the evening, as it'll help your birds kind of regulate their temperature overnight. But I'll throw that in here right before sunset, and they'll just scratch that whole pile down in like a day or two. And then I will pile it up again. And I'm out here collecting eggs and checking on water and stuff. And they'll just continue that process until it starts looking like this stuff here. And then again, I'll flatten it all out, level it all out, and throw another layer on top. And as you can see, that's going to give us a ton of compost. I would say that would be enough. If you're going with like 4 by 8 beds, you'd probably have enough for, you know, 7 beds or so, 7 or 8 beds, decent amount, 3 inches. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's too high. Maybe I'm getting a little rambunctious there, but we have already 2 loads this size sitting out from just over the summer. Even though that they're free ranging a lot and they're out and about, the coops still get quite bad. Not as bad as in the winter, obviously, but we're accumulating organic matter and manure, which is all we use for fertilizer here on the farm, year round. So even in the summer, though they spend most of their days outside, we have a lot to spread throughout the gardens. So there you go, the deep bedding method. Sorry, I'm a little cold, my lips are sticking together. But super easy, nothing fancy this video. I just wanted to show you guys just how easy it was to do, how effective. The birds are gonna love this because it will supplement the heat. The ground will actually be a little toastier, and you're gonna love it too because, like I said, we have about 30 birds right now, 26 to 30 birds, I'd say. I can't remember exactly. And this will last about a month and a half before I have to do any kind of change or, you know, reapply bedding to it. So it's also a great storage of nutrients. As far as the garden is concerned, if you are using any kind of synthetic fertilizer or store-bought fertilizer, I would recommend, and you have chickens, I would recommend just using your compost as a base. You can always add more manure, different types, different kinds of organic material, all your garden scraps, but this is just a powerhouse of nutrients here. Your yields will just explode. Granted, you do have to, when you pull it out of the coop, you're gonna have to turn it for about a month or so, let it kind of cure. But again, in the northern climates up here, it works really well time-wise because we don't even get stuff into the ground till, you know, May, June, stuff like that. So it works really well to pull it out, let it sit for a couple months, turn it once or twice, and you have some really powerful fertilizer. Looks like the girls are getting ready to go to bed themselves, and I got to get a move on because I'm going to do the same thing to the greenhouse side here. So I'm going to get at that. But thanks for swinging by. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.